Good afternoon. This is Michael Diesen. I'm from Chicago. This is the Managing Machine Learning Project's final project. There are 5 questions I'll go ahead and answer. The first one has to do with opportunity evaluation. Part 1A, to create an AI program that will allow a taxpayer to query the status and expected pay date of his income tax refund instead of the typical response of being available in 3 to 5 weeks that the IRS typically gives. Is there a problem? Taxpayers don't have an accurate estimate when their tax refund must be received. Currently, there is no way for the taxpayer to solve this himself. Does someone care? Many taxpayers who are expecting refunds care about this issue. The taxpayers who are relying on this refund to support themselves probably care about this issue the most. Can machine learning help solve it? Yes, by gathering PII data from the taxpayer and processing time from the IRS Refund Center. The AI will need to ask for PII such as Social Security number, date submitted, adjusted gross income from page 1 of their 1040 form, past refund processing times to understand complexity of past returns, and number of current filing tax forms, which also determines complexity from the taxpayer, and processing status from the IRS Refund Center, coming from the Department of Treasury. Since this AI will need detailed processing data from the Department of Treasury, the AI app can probably only be created by the federal government or one of its contractors. Question number 2 deals with CRISP-DN, business understanding. 2A is define the problem. The target users, all taxpayers, write the problem statement. Taxpayers don't have an accurate estimate when their tax refund will be received. Why it matters. Many taxpayers count on not getting a tax refund, but also knowing when the tax refund will be received by them. How is it solved today? It is not solved today. Gaps in current state. The taxpayer doesn't know an accurate deposit date until the refund is received by them. Define success. Quantify the expected business impact. A reduction in communications with the IRS service reps, for instance, the call centers. Identify the constraints. Response times must be within 24 hours. Translate impact into metrics, both outputs and output metrics. The decrease in call center activity should either reduce the number of employees needed or free them up to work on other IRS questions. The output metrics should be a reduced call center number of calls per week regarding refund status. Define success targets for metrics, measuring how often the AI is invoked, and also checking the IRS complaint phone calls. Question 2C, identify factors. Gather domain experience, so domain experience from IRS IT group for data from their database and information from the taxpayer. Identify potentially relevant factors, so it'd be PII information, and then such as Social Security numbers, data submitted, AGI from page 1 of the 1040 form, past refund processing times to understand complexity of past returns, number of current filing tax forms, which also determines complexity from the taxpayer, and processing status from the IRS Refund Center. Solution validation plan. Question 3A. Briefly describe your solution concept and how it uses machine language. The solution concept is to create a linear regression of past refund durations based upon the number of IRS forms that were used to complete the tax form. The more forms completed for a tax form, then that results in the longer the tax return refund will take to get reviewed and approved, and a refund sent to the taxpayer. Question 3B, describe how you would execute a series of iterative experiments to validate the proposed Solution concept: use training data from past tax years and their tax refund length of time to receive the refund. Another feature is to consider would be the amount of the adjusted gross income on the Form 1040 as a factor in the tax refund length of time. So my thinking there is the higher the adjusted gross income, probably the more complex the tax form would be, and therefore the longer it take to get a refund. Machine learning system design. Question 4A, consider the 3 machine learning system design directions covered in Module 4. For each, explain your decision and why you would have selected this option. So cloud versus edge. Use cloud because the IRS data is in the cloud and latency is not an issue. Offline learning versus online learning. Offline learning is used because the models can be retrained on the weekend or during non-peak tax season time. And then batch prediction versus online predictions. Batch predictions can be used or should be used because the processing of a tax return typically takes a few weeks anyway, and therefore there is no need to have a real-time prediction of when the refund will be available. And the last question is question 5, potential risks in production. 5A, do you foresee possible model issues which might arise with your proposed model in production? And my answers were training serving skew will be able to train on previous authentic data from prior tax years. Data drift, model training data can be updated at the end of each tax season. Changes typically occur very slowly in tax forms and refunds, and only when major tax changes occur. And then concept drift, only an issue when there are major tax changes would result in a concept drift. That's all. Thank you very much.